Hey guys, Freddy here. Welcome back to another retro magazine thing. Because this time we're looking at Arcane Magazine Issue 6, which is very special to me because it's inspired an entire series on this channel. But more about that while we look through the magazine. But before we go over to that, I'd like to take a moment to thank my Patreons, who this week I've been told are 18.3% more attractive than the average person. Now I'm aware that's a larger percentage than I said on Monday, but it appears that it's just increasing day by day. Now, if you'd like to take advantage of this strange phenomena, or you'd like to help support the channel, and I sure wish you would, or you'd like to gain access to Patreon exclusive videos that we put up over there, you'd like to see these videos a week early, or one of the other many levels of patronage we've got, then the Patreon's in the description down below. If you check it out, it'd be very much appreciated. But anyway, let's have a look at Arcane Magazine Issue 6. So, this is Arcane Magazine, issue number 6, with a cover date of May 1996. But due to the way UK magazines work, that means it was released in April 96. May is the month it was to remain on the store shelves for. Now, I love the cover image. It's very bright. And the concentration, or the main articles in this issue, are going to be about religion and role-playing. Because this is where I first discovered about the Satanic Panic. As I've told before, in the west of Scotland, where I live, where I was brought up, the Satanic Panic really had no influence. People didn't judge Dungeons & Dragons based on it being this satanic game with stories about people playing it and going insane and murdering and all that. People judged it as being a game. If you told them you went out and played Dungeons & Dragons, they were more likely to judge you as if you told them you were a professional tiddlywinks player. You were playing a kid's game. You were being childish. And that's what people judged you on. Much the same way that, as an adult, a few years ago, if you say you played video games, people would judge you on that. Although it is just a hobby everybody does these days. And role-playing itself has grown up as well. But in the west of Scotland, people would think you were just being childish. Now, I've heard that's not the story across the whole of Scotland. I've had commenters on previous videos telling me stories from further up north, where they were kicked out of the church hall they were playing in because people had heard the stories about the Satanic Panic. And those stories always sadden me. But, as I said, this was where I first found out about it. I had no idea about the Satanic Panic. It had just totally avoided where I brought up. Dungeons & Dragons just was a cool game that I enjoyed playing, and people judged me because I was playing a kid's game. No satanic influences involved. Now, also on the cover, we see that it talks about Netrunner, Better Than Magic, Discover Why Inside, GURPS Goblins, Goblins in Georgia and London, Are They Mad? Why the Christian Right Want to Ban Our Games, Steampunk, New Ideas for the Grim World of Steam Power and Oppression, The Keep, Run a Castle of Rayon with a Fabulous Pullout. This is something Arcane Magazine did every issue. In the centre of the magazine was some maps for you to use in skirmishes and your own stuff with some background ideas. Fantastic stuff to get a detailed map in every issue. Sometimes it was for different settings. We've seen cyberpunk ones in the past. We've seen science fiction ones. And in this one, it's a fantasy setting. Do it yourself. Design your perfect game with our essential game. Also reviewed this issue: Space Hulk, AD&D Magecraft, Fantasy Adventures, GURPS Places of Mystery, Mecton Wars, Book of Sigils, Magic the Manual of Mystic Secrets, Nightbane World Book 1, Serpent Moon, Azrael's Tear, and many more. And inside, well, we're straight into a big double-page advert for Magic the Gathering, 1996 UK Republic Island Championships. Nice for them to be doing that. We've got an advert from TSR for the Dragonlance Murder in Tarsis, Fantasy Mystery. We've also got Murder in Cormia and Murder in Halrua. And know nothing about those books, but very cool advert. Got a contents page, including an article on Bushido as a retro. I find that very amusing that I'm looking back on this magazine. Now it's closing on sort of 30 years old, and it was already considering Bushido retro. A very interesting idea. An advert for Arcadia the Wild Hunt, the Changeling Adventure card game, because obviously there was Rage and Jihad for Werewolf and Vampire. We've got the editorial, the editor here, Steve Farraga, was stepping down. He's done 6 months and he's moving on. And then we've got dispatches, so news. What's new coming out? The Babylon Project, the Babylon 5 role-playing game from Chameleon Eclectic, although rather nicely they've got the image upside down of the station. GURPS Discworld, Mythos, the Cthulhu collectible card game, everything had to have a CCG. Shadowfist CCG, Doctor Who CCG, Community Chess, Nightmare Chess, translated from the French. Further Oblivion, so they're announcing Wraith the Oblivion is going to be coming out. Different class, so the Player's Handbook extension books. Rage, Bushido Backlog, Down Dino Down, Dino Hunt from Steve Jackson Games, a card game of sorts, it says. We've got Ultima Online, talking about Games Workshop releasing the Wood Elf Army for Warhammer Fantasy Battle. Advert for more Magic the Gathering. We can see what the industry was focusing about. Free Magic cards. What else we got here? So, we've got Famous for 15 Minutes. It was always kind of fun. Talking about where role-playing games popped up in different TV shows. I really should dig out a bunch of these and do a Satanic Panic based on them. Because he's mentioning what? Role-playing Antics of the Littlest Hobo and Kanoff Kung Fu. I really don't know about those. Got an advert here for Star Trek Deep Space Nine Harbinger and Star Trek Klingon. I never had Klingon. I had Klingon Academy, I think it was called, the shoot 'em up FPS game. But I did have Harbinger, which I found very, very complex, but a lot of fun. I did like Deep Space Nine a lot. Still do. Win TSR books. What other stuff? What conventions are coming up? An advert for Dice Master. Playful AI, Card of the Month, telling us about Conspiracy X, which we've covered on the channel before. An advert for Quest. Campaign Cartographer. Now, while we haven't covered that, we have covered the Forgotten Realms official TSR one, which I believe uses the Campaign Cartographer software. It does look very similar. We've got Dungeon Designer and City Designer. Very cool stuff indeed. I would love to look back on those. Probably could pick up the discs cheap, but I don't have anything with a media drive in it anymore. My laptop died on me. Telling us what's coming next month. Talking about Netrunner, competition to win it. And then, as I said, we've got this retro review of Bushido. Talking about it, the fun they had playing it, and the many sessions of Bushido I've played and refereed during my 16 years of role-playing remain some of the most fondly remembered sessions I've ever taken part in. And we've got Thought for the Day about paranoid, narrow-minded bigots who aren't interested in anyone's viewpoint, talking about religious people being against Dungeons & Dragons, start of this article. Dicing with the Devil, religious fundamentalists are after role-playing's blood. Gavin Badley investigates. And it's talking through the various things. We've got bits from the Chick Tract here, talking about different things. Dragon Raid, the Christian discipleship game, which I've been trying to pick up. To cover. I would love to have a look at that. An article from YouthWorks, British magazine for Christians, talking about CCGs and role-playing. Pat Robertson, who obviously I've covered in my Satanic Panic videos. We've got lots of pieces of information here. A very well done article talking about various books. I've never covered any of those yet. Halloween Treat or Trick and Turmoil in the Toy Box. And then we're on to a section talking about Live and Let Die. You've killed his character, now your player sees you as the murderer of his alter ego. Advises games and players alike on how to deal with death. A lovely article, not specifically for any role-playing game, but about role-playing itself. Very, very nice stuff. Why do it yourself? Why design your own role-playing game? Going through different sections, trust your own judgment, separating your system, personality or impartiality. And nice images from different settings here. We've got talking about steampunk. A really interesting idea because different genres weren't perhaps as well known. You couldn't just jump on Google back in 1996 and find stuff out. While I believe I had internet access, I don't think... it definitely wasn't common. So if you didn't know what steampunk was, then this magazine explaining about it, very nice. You could find out a lot. And the artwork is lovely. Talking through all the elements which make up a steampunk setting. Technobabble, iron and steel, power to weight ratios. Then we've got the pull out and keep encounters. Welcome to Dragon Castle. So we've got Dragon Keep with locations around it. Different people. Then we've got the pull out map. On one side it's the outside of the keep, and the other level it's the inside of the building. So very, very detailed itself. Talk about feudal society, tournaments and jousts, courtly love, haunted castle, different adventure seats, and what's coming up next month. Brilliant, brilliant stuff. Loved it. Obviously not enough to rip up the magazine and take them out. Advert for something called Warrior? I don't remember that at all. Were they miniatures? There's dice there. Something for Vampire the Masquerade. No idea what that is for. Back issues. This month in games, so all their reviews. We've got Netrunner, which is based on our Talzorian Cyberpunk 2020, but it's actually by Wizards of the Coast, their collectible card game. They obviously licensed it. Very interesting to see that now Wizards of the Coast is so massive that giving them access to your license probably most people wouldn't consider. But it talks through in great detail, you know, tools of the trade, virtually secure. 9 out of 10 they score it. We've got GURPS Goblins. 7 out of 10. Life in London is nasty, brutish and short, and so are you. So, a kind of fun setting. Magic, a Manual and Mystic Secrets for Earthdawn. I can't remember if I've got this one. I have a few of the Earthdawn books. 8 out of 10 anyway. Space Hulk 2nd edition, something I don't have. I've only got the 1st edition. I think I've covered that on the channel previously, a very long time ago. Book of Magecraft for AD&D Birthright. Serpent Moon. Battletech Record. Player's Secret of Binsada. Ways and Means for Underground. 2 free issues if you subscribe to Arcane. I think that might be a bit out of date. Mechton Wars 1 from our Talzorian. Something I haven't covered is Mechton Wars. Book of Sigils for Castle Falkenstein. Lots of stuff coming out from our Talzorian. GURPS Places of Mystery. GURPS Supers 2nd edition. An adventure for AD&D Birthright. Collectible card game Fantasy Adventures. Nightbane supplement from Palladium Games. Something else I haven't got around to covering. Another invitation to subscribe and get a free t-shirt. Competition. Then we've got some small classifieds for different things. Nothing really jumps out. Recognise a few of the names here. I believe they're still going. Got a section on different miniatures. A review of books, as so many of these do, including the Shadowrun book Black Madonna, which I don't have particularly fond memories of. They score it 6 out of 10. So while they say it's required reading for any referees trying to keep up with current events in Faz's timeline, they obviously don't think it's a great book. As I said, I don't have fantastic memories of it. Cthulhu 2000 by Arkham House. What else we got? Battletech novels, Forgotten Realms, Escape from Undermountain. No Blood Spilled. Project UFO. Advert for SFX magazine. I believe that's still going. The letters page. Nothing particular stands out in there. Arcane Online. So websites are appearing. Reader ads. And then a bit of a short story thing. Very tongue-in-cheek. To be continued. Advert for Vampire the Eternal Struggle, CCG, and limited set expansion. I thought the card game was Jihad. This is by Woods of the Coast, so maybe there were more than one. Advert for TSR's Dragon Dice. TSR obviously saw all the CCGs, wanted something that people could play, and they thought Dragon Dice would be it. I don't think it really took off. I certainly paid no attention to it whatsoever. So, that is Arcane Magazine Issue 6. Some good articles in there, although nothing about particular systems. There's nothing, you know, going into details of what's good in Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay, or here's an adventure for Shadowrun or anything. But lots of actual useful stuff for a Games Master, including the pull-out map in the middle. But generally, just an interesting view of the role-playing industry as it was mid-1996. So that was Arcane Magazine Issue 6. And obviously the original role-playing section I absolutely adored. It inspired the Satanic Panic series on this channel. It's been an interest of mine ever since I read that article way back then. But there's so much else in there. And without publishing adventures and articles based on specific role-playing games, you know, without giving us a Dungeons & Dragons adventure, some equipment for Shadowrun or whatever, this goes with a much broader stroke about role-playing and ideas behind it. The article on what to do when a dungeon master has killed a player is a really interesting way of looking at it and makes you think about it. But I really liked Arcane for that. Plus, those maps in the middle giving you stuff for whatever setting, just medieval, but other issues did science fiction, did cyberpunk, etc. Great stuff. A really good magazine without going for what I always thought was what was best in a magazine. Still fantastic stuff. But anyway, as usual, I think I've been wittering on for quite long enough, so thank you very much for watching. But as always, most of all, you look after yourselves, and I'll catch you later. Bye now.